Welcome to the Dragon Archive, where Chinese history is told through story, evidence, and the shadows left behind. After the death of Qin Shi Huang at Sand Dune Palace, the empire entered a state of controlled silence. The official announcement of the emperor's death was delayed, and the imperial convoy continued to move under strict information control. Within this silent structure, decisions about succession were already beginning to form inside the inner court. According to the Shiji, Zhao Gao and Li Si became the key figures responsible for managing the transition of authority. At the center of this process was not only the question of who would inherit the throne, but more fundamentally, how imperial legitimacy would be defined without the emperor physically present. In this moment, the written word became more important than the living ruler, because it was the only remaining form through which imperial authority could still be expressed. Far from the center of the court, Prince Fusu remained stationed at Shang Commandery in the north. He had been sent there years earlier, formally to supervise military affairs alongside General Meng Tian, but also effectively removed from direct political influence in the capital. This distance, once administrative in nature, now became decisive in determining his position within the emerging succession crisis. At this stage, according to the Shiji, Zhao Gao and Li Si jointly issued an imperial edict in the name of the first emperor. This document carried the authority of the throne, or at least claimed to. It ordered Prince Fusu to take his own life and confirmed the succession of Huhai, the younger prince who remained within the central court and was closer to the inner administrative circle. The edict was delivered northward, across the distance that separated the capital from the frontier command. It arrived not as a negotiation, but as a final command. In the structure of the Qin administration, such a document was not treated as a message to be interpreted, but as an extension of imperial will itself. At the same time, General Meng Tian received the same order structure. As the commander responsible for the northern defenses and the ongoing construction of border fortifications, his authority was deeply embedded within the imperial military system. But like Fusu, his position depended entirely on recognition from the central court. Without confirmation of the emperor's death, and without any means to verify the authenticity of the edict, he was placed within the same framework of irreversible instruction. What matters in this moment is not yet the outcome, but the nature of the system itself. The Qin imperial structure did not allow parallel sources of legitimacy. There was no independent military authority outside the written decree, and no institutional mechanism for challenging the authenticity of an imperial command once it had been delivered through official channels. Thus, when the edict reached the northern frontier, it functioned not as information, but as authority in itself. It required no further validation within the system it governed. The empire operated on the assumption that the voice of the emperor, once written, could not be separated from the emperor himself. At this point, the historical record pauses before resolution. The Shiji records the arrival of the edict and the immediate reaction of those who received it. But what follows next? The decisions taken in response and the consequences that reshape the structure of power belong to the next stage of the narrative. Because the moment the edict is accepted, the question of legitimacy no longer belongs to the dead emperor. It belongs to those who remain. And what they choose to do with that authority will determine not only individual fate, but the direction of the empire itself. The northern frontier receives the command, and history holds its breath.
Thanks for watching The Dragon Archive. Every story here begins in the shadows, but returns to the records. If you want more stories from Chinese history, emperors, rebels, assassins, philosophers, and forgotten kingdoms, follow the archive. The past is not gone. It is waiting to be read again.